Hey guys, this week was extremely busy for our family, so I had to find meals that were delicious as well as easy to prepare. So, my first meal this week and my first ever sheet pan meal was ham, green beans, and potatoes. The first thing that I did was prep my potatoes and, of course, trim my green beans. Here you see me cubing the potatoes. Basically, I'm just cutting them into fourths and setting them to the side so that I can give them a good wash. Um, I then move on to trimming the tips off of my green beans. After I give them both a really good wash, I prepare to season the vegetables. I start with adding about 1 tablespoon of avocado oil, about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder, about a half a tablespoon of onion powder. I also use 1 teaspoon of pepper and a dash of salt. And then I give it a really good mix. I move on to seasoning my green beans. I also add in about 1 tablespoon of avocado oil, about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder, about 1.5 to a half tablespoons of onion powder. I also add in just a tad bit of pepper and a dash of salt, and I also give this a really good mix. Since it takes a little bit longer for my veggies to cook, I did add those to my sheet pan, both the green beans and the potatoes to the same pan, and I added them to the oven at about 350 for about 10 to 15 minutes. So while my potatoes and my green beans are cooking, I do start to prepare my ham glaze. I start by adding a fourth of a cup of honey to a container, and then I add about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I probably could have only used one. And then I add in 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard, 1 tablespoon of avocado oil, 2 tablespoons of water, and I probably could have just used one as well. And then I add in a pinch of salt and pepper to taste. I do mix this really well so that it's ready for my ham when my potatoes and my green beans come out. After about 10 or 15 minutes of having my veggies in the oven, I do remove them and I prepare my ham steak by cutting it into fourths. And then I add the glaze, the honey mustard glaze that I just prepared. And I add it to each piece of ham steak and I flip it over to add it to the opposite side as well. And then any of the excess honey glaze, I just add it over my green beans and over my potatoes. And honestly, I could have not done this step, and I still think it would have been delicious. But since I had so much left, I decided to add it to my veggies. I added both the veggies and ham steak to the oven for about another 25 minutes, and then it was time to eat. And this meal was so simple and so delicious. Everyone in my home really, really enjoyed this meal. And I would definitely be making this again. Now, on the next meal, it was fairly simple, something that I had in my pantry, just tuna tetrazzini with a side of sweet peas, and this was extremely easy to make. I basically just followed the package instructions by using 2 1/3 cups of hot water. I also used 1 1/2 cups milk and 3 tablespoons of butter. In my baking dish, I add in my noodles. I also add in my tuna. This was 2 cans of tuna, drained. And then I added in my 1 1/3 cups of milk with the 3 tablespoons of butter on top, along with the tetrazzini sauce that was in the Tuna Helper box. Now, you actually could also use 2 cups of rotisserie chicken on this if you're not a big tuna fan, but I did not have any chicken already prepared, so I just went ahead and used the tuna, and it turned out really good. I'm not sure why I chose to put this in the oven as opposed to making this over in a saucepan, but anyway, I did. And right before I got ready to serve it, I did add in 1 can of drained sweet peas. I gave it a really good stir, and then I added it back to the oven for about, I don't know, a couple minutes just to heat up my sweet peas. And then it was ready to serve. If I am being completely honest, I think I probably would have enjoyed this meal a little bit more had I not added the peas to the actual dish and just had them as a side dish. But the box clearly said if I wanted to make it fancy, I could add my sweet peas. But it's turned out great anyway. The final meal for this week is a meal that I cannot take credit for preparing. It is a steak with creamy macaroni and cheese, twice baked potatoes topped with bacon bits and cheese, and Hawaiian rolls. This is a meal that my daughter prepared. She wanted to make dinner on this night, and she did not want me to record her, so I could not actually tell you what she put in anything as far as seasonings go, but I can tell you that this meal was delicious. Now, every pot and pan in my kitchen was dirty, but it was well worth it. And that is what we had for dinner this week. If you guys know of any other recipes you think we will enjoy, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Bye.